Welcome to the Rad Dad Redemption Podcast. Here's your hosts, Drew and Dex.
All right, take two. Enough silliness.
Yeah,
we pulled shoot on first attempt pretty quick.
That was pretty good.
It was funny. It'll be one of those. We'll tell the story later.
Do you keep the red band clips?
Sometimes I do. That one I did not.
Yeah,
probably for the better.
That one got buried.
That was gone forever. I was like, delete.
Welcome back, everybody.
It's been a minute since we've been on the podcast world. It hasn't been a minute since you and I have hung out. We've hung out like a lot.
Yeah, we've had ample opportunity to record this episode.
Yep. Yeah. Didn't follow through.
We had some plans. This was actually going to be a fireside chat. You hauled all the equipment out to the campground and we were literally going to do a fireside chat. Yeah. How cool is that?
Oh, it would have been so good if we had really actually just done it.
Yeah, no, I mean, missed opportunity. Like, you got to think about the level of procrastination and just like absolute deplorable laziness on our behalf. So we brought all the equipment, we transported our families, the gear was there, we were there, every single thing was in place. And then we're like, let's
just get drunk.
Let's get drunk.
Unbearably drunk to the point that we can't podcast.
Yeah, let's have 9 strongbows on the front 9 at St. Eugene's.
You did.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was that was a decision I made. But I had help in that.
Yeah. Well,
my right and left hand.
Enough about podcasts that could have been, but we're not.
Yeah, we're here now.
We're here now. Yeah, and that's all we can control. You got to let go of the things you can't control, bro.
We never said we'd be on time.
No.
But hey.
Nor did we say it'd be good.
Yeah. Let's kick it off there. We're coming right off the heels of our Rad Dad Variety Night.
Hell yeah.
How do you think it went?
I'm going to say there was a few factors. I mean, it was our first live event, right? So with that in mind, I thought it was a roaring success. I thought we got a lot of good feedback. With that said, I mean, we totally could have done better, and I think we will in the future. But all things considered, we did good.
Yeah, it was definitely, I feel the exact same way. For the first kick at the can, I think there was lots of learning experiences. All said and done, everything in the bucket. We did raise money for the Okotoks Food Bank. We raised $1,500.
Plus 54 pounds of food or something like that?
Yeah, which I thought was a little paltry, a little hilarious. And that's not to put that on anyone but ourselves, but I just thought about that amount of food, weighed against the food that I eat in a week. I could have done more for the food bank if I just was I'm going to go on a fucking hunger strike.
I'm going to not eat today.
Yeah, that probably would have benefited the association more so than because the guy was they bring it in, right? They've got this giant scale and it's kind of like the fundraiser scale. And it's a real feel good moment. And I remember being in the schools and we do the school dance and that's always the thing still. Kids come to the dance and it's one price for admission or the discounted price with a food bank item. And there's just stacks and stacks of Alphagetti and shit. And so when they bring it in, they're like, wow, you guys, let's get it all on the scale. And look at your numbers, this huge pile. And it probably fills up the scale. You donated 300 pounds of food. We came in with our 6 bags of food.
And I'll be legit, 5 of those I think came from one person.
Yes. No,
I saw them walk in with a bag in each hand per couple.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, oh, okay, that's
those good Samaritans.
Yeah.
Good for them.
It was our fault for not promoting that aspect of it really well, I think. I think we focused a lot on raising money for the food bank and we focused on the silent auction, which had a ton of awesome items. Yeah, we had it on the poster.
Yeah,
but
small
that was
print.
About it. After all the pertinent information, it was oh, by the way, bring some food.
We could have talked about that more, even on
That's
our
what
podcast.
I'm saying. We could have done a better job of that side of the promotion.
Yeah, and there's so lessons learned. It was just funny because it's due process, and the guy that took it in was let's get you on the scale, and we're kind of no, man, it's good. And he's no, it's part of the thing, and he just sets our bags down on this 5XL scale. It's kind of like the scale in The Office when the whole office team is trying to lose weight. Yeah. And he puts it right in the middle, and he's almost comically wow. Good job, you guys.
You did it.
And then he single-handedly picks up all of our donation. Yeah. And
the funniest part, do you remember this when you pulled up at the truck and he's I'll go grab the forklift.
Yeah,
and we're forklift. Probably not necessary.
And he's no, work smarter, not harder. We're no, we are. You got
We're saving you the gas on the forklift.
You got 2 hands? Like, we're a kid, man. But we got $1,500 cash, and that was cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And they were like, oh, sweet. Good for you guys. That's awesome.
They seemed pretty thankful for that, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was cool, not only like in terms of our success, but great that we do have a community of listeners that did come. And a lot of our friends and like family members were the ones that put that cheese out to make sure. Some of us put literal cheese out on the table, and we definitely made it happen. So thanks to everyone that actually kicked that off. And then the event itself, like, it's one of those things, and I've thought about it a lot since. You know, when you do something, when it's like your baby, you can be hypercritical. You know, we talk about it in terms of like our renovations.
Yeah, go back to episode 10, the renovation project. We talk about that.
Yeah, you like come down here and I'm like, man, your basement looks great. And then you're going to be like, yeah, look at this one piece.
I can point out every imperfection.
Yeah, like, because you're there on your hands and knees doing it, and you're like kind of like, oh, this sucks, but just like on the whole, it was great. And I think that's how I kind of felt with the event coming away from it, because there was just so much going on, so much stuff that I was trying to like handle and get done, that when it was finished, it was just a relief to be done. And there was a little like, oh, I should have maybe slowed down, enjoyed myself, but also should have been like, well, shit, just like your first sentence here, it was a good job. We did a good job, and we had a fun time.
You know what would have really helped is if like you had a co-host or an assistant of some sort that like provided any help with like running or setting up the event. I just think like that would be pretty crazy if like there's somebody like that existed.
Well, yeah, we're gonna have
for the people like that are listening. That event was fully like 90. I'm gonna say 95% you, because like Ben helped you with a lot of the setup.
Oh, fuck. Ben was like the guy.
So, but like you did all the organizing, communicating with Big Beaver, communicating with the Food Bank Association, you know, renting out all the equipment, setting it up, getting everything organized. And I was like, I'll see you there.
And that's fine. I remember that when we were talking about it, I was like, let me do this.
Yeah.
Because you do so much for the podcast that I don't see. The editing, you put in all the fart noises, you make all the jingles. You are a producer, tough job,
but somebody's got to do it.
So no, I appreciate it. I wanted to do that, but then it was funny because it definitely not like a pants down situation, but when you like do the brass tacks, you're like, it is a ton. Like I think there were so many things that had I outsourced, like legitimately not found an assistant to like be my second half, but if I had just been like, you know, the one that sticks out for me is the sound guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of, there's like a public speaking angle. How do you find public speaking? Like you're kind of like the Mac. You get it. You got no problem with it.
Yeah. I mean, I love public speaking. So I don't get to.
There it is. End of segment.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed.
But heck, have you ever been in that situation where you like go up and you're like, I know what I'm going to say. I'm going to do this. And then like.
Well, and so I will say, you know, for people that were there that witnessed it, when we went up at the very beginning to do kind of our fireside chat, there was some feedback coming from what I assume were the monitors, because later on people were saying, well, I couldn't really hear like what you guys are saying you heard, right? We were getting a lot of like bassy feedback when we were talking, like especially if we were like saying a B, like, and it doesn't help that we were at Big Beaver Brewing, and we were getting this like very bassy feedback, and it threw us off. It threw me off, and I know we were both sitting there like looking at each other like, do we continue or what do we do? And I think we kind of ended up cutting our spot a little shorter than we had planned.
Oh man, I had so much stuff, and it's funny because, you know, curveballs happen, especially in a live event. You know, I was saying that to the cameraman who came down from Casual Media Co. And we were like I was trying to shoot the shit with him. I don't think he was very interested in what I had to say, but I was like, yo, my dude, like, you know, it's so crazy coming out here and doing the live event. You know, like when we do a podcast, if we do something wrong or we do something like that doesn't sound good, most of the time we just put it out anyway. But we do have the technology. We have the capability to just go and redo it. And I was like saying this to him conversationally. He's like, yeah, well, that's how computers work. Yeah, like that's how, like, that's the difference between live. Like, what are you saying? What is this conversation we're having? You deleted the thing you didn't want? You stopped and re-recorded? He's like, yeah, that's recording. It was like me explaining like economics and consumerism again, where I was just like, so we've got this computer, right? And if we don't like the sounds that we make into the mics, we do it again.
You can hit one button, it says delete. Isn't that wild?
And then like, and we couldn't do that up there, right? Yeah. I'm an idiot. But yeah, the sound thing, so like it really threw me off. And I don't know if it's totally understandable. We did not hire a sound guy. I did not hire a sound guy. I kind of underestimated how difficult it would be and overestimated my ability to get it done well. You know, like we moved everything in and we had done a sound check at Ben's house on the Friday and it was so sick. But in hindsight, we kind of just like played our favorite tunes, which are like expertly mixed,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And just like sat around. So when we went to go do it, there were some hiccups and I just thought it was funny. I found out after the fact, one of my guests in attendance who had come, actually a neighbor of ours, we were chatting about it after and he's like, well, you know, like I'm a sound guy. And I was like, oh. And he's like, yeah, I was sitting there and you guys were having some trouble. And I thought, oh, I should give you a hand, but I don't want to step on any toes. And I was just like,
There are no toes to step on.
And I was like,
sir.
oh my God, no toes. Like, please, next time you see me flailing like that and like trying to figure it out. Like,
So
just,
did he provide you any insight on what it was? Because is my estimation that it was the monitors pointed back at us?
It was the fact that we had sound tested Giza's mic and Ben's mic independently. And when they were doing their sets, there was one mic running.
Sounded excellent.
Sounded fantastic. What we didn't do is we never sound tested two mics running at the same time. And so the microphones were picking up each other. And so it was like a really like an awful loop, like a literal feedback loop of like me talking, monitors coming back, being picked up at your mic, going back into your system. And so it was just like, and it was like in hindsight so stupid. I was like, oh yeah, 1 + 1 is 2, and that's different than 1. So it threw me off. It threw me off to do it. And one thing when we're talking about like being hypercritical or like whether it felt good or felt like we did a good job, again, I'm like looking at it through the lens of like, well, this is me doing this. I'm hypercritical, but there's also, and I mentioned it in the show, but I don't think I talked about how funny it really was. And I'm still laughing about it. There was this dude, like a random patron, of the bar. And when we're getting set up, he was like having a beer and he's like, so what is this? What are you doing here? And we're like, and you were standing by me and I'm like, we're a podcast. And you're like, yeah, we're a dad themed podcast. And he's like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, it's great. Like we talk about like our experiences having kids and we try to tell a lot of jokes. And he was kind of like just in that quick conversation, being like, so you tell dad jokes?
Yeah, he definitely like, we're like, we tell jokes and we kind of just fuck around and shoot the shit. And he's like, so you tell dad jokes? And I was like, that's very reductive. But we were also in the middle of setting this up. So we were just like,
to explain.
We were like, yeah, whatever. Like waving them off.
Yeah. Like, so you guys tell dad jokes. So you got a dad joke podcast? We're like, yeah, we got a dad joke podcast, I guess. Yeah. And then he actually stuck around for the first bit. And then like, you know, it went down. And again, like we had so much stuff written and stuff that like, when I say written, like we are jotting out, guys.
Yeah.
We're like, this is an idea, and then you do it live, and like you ad lib it, and that's what makes it authentic. That's what makes it funny, and usually leads to the funnier shit, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people are that way. So we had these jot notes, and then that sound happened, and I kind of just lost myself, and we ended up wrapping up the bit, and I didn't feel great about it. I was like, oh man, like, ooh, okay, now let's get Ben going, and like let's make sure everyone's happy with the show. So kind of like high stress mode, and I'm like over at the soundboard doing my thing, and he fucking comes up to me, and he just kind of like side glances to me, like not like we're gonna have another full conversation, just like gets near me, and he's like, hey, nice dad jokes.
Yeah, like, very condescending.
But yeah, so he could like beat me, and I was like, that's so funny. That's so funny because you had enough confidence. We were bad enough that you had enough confidence to come over to me after and be like, I stuck around for your jokes and they sucked. Yeah. So I was like, one, in my face, like you got stones. Thanks for shitting on me. I appreciate that. And then the other thing that I can't get out of my head was like, but he also didn't know what we were, so we failed objectively in like just being funny to the Gen Pop, but we also like failed at this guy's misconstrued idea about what our podcast was. Yeah. Like he wasn't just saying like, hey you guys, that wasn't very funny. He was like, I didn't hear a fucking dad joke.
Like 0 dad jokes registered.
That's what nice dad joke. So I don't know what he thought. We were gonna go up there.
We set his expectations very poorly, and we failed to deliver on those expectations that we set incorrectly.
Hey Dex, did you know I'm on a seafood diet? When I see food, I eat it.
I had a good dad joke for Alicia the other day.
Give me one. Give me a dad. We're the dad joke podcast.
So, but the sad thing is, it completely went over her head, and then I had to like fully explain the dad joke, which makes it.
And you mansplained.
I mansplained it. Yeah. So she's turning. I'm gonna put her on the spot now, but she's turning 32 next month.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
And so I was like, babe, like your 32nd birthday is coming up. She's like, yeah. I'm aware. I was like, seems a little short. We should probably celebrate it for the whole day. And she was like, huh? I was like, 32nd birthday? She's like, what? Yeah, I'm turning 32. And I was like, yeah, but like 32nd is not long enough. She's like, I don't understand what you're saying right now. Like, are you having a stroke?
We're going to celebrate your birthday for 30 seconds only.
I was like, like half a minute. She's like, you're a fucking idiot.
I thought she was going to be like, what, are we going to have sex? Like, is that what you're promising? Is that my 32nd birthday? Yeah. You're like, honey, that's every day. If you want, but probably not.
Whenever you want.
Dex, younger wife. Good for you.
Yeah.
You're so old.
I am old.
Yeah.
And creepy.
Heck yeah. So yeah.
Anyway, so there's our dad jokes. I hope that guy tunes in.
Yeah, hopefully listens and definitely still is like, I didn't hear a single fucking funny dad joke. Because these are terrible. Yeah, we really grew our audience, and that was okay. So learning experiences, like we sold the place out, quotes, air quotes.
Yeah, like there was no booking extra spots.
People were phoning and they're saying you cannot come because all the seats were reserved. But then what happened is not all of our reserved attendees attended.
There was only, I thought, one empty table.
But I don't know if you noticed this. Big Beaver put a sign out that said closed for a private event.
Oh.
So there were people who like may have been enticed to come in. There was even a moment, and a video exists of this, where Josh is doing his thing and an entire like group of people, I think teenagers.
I think they were teenagers, and I think they were in town for the summer games, and they were walking back to the high school.
Kids love beer. Teenagers love beer.
Yeah, that's true.
And they love rap music. Are you kidding?
Give a shit.
Yeah. So, and they like came in the door and then like they walked away. But I was even trying to like wave them in, like, get in here. Who cares how old you are? Like, this is an all ages show.
Yeah.
And but I think there was a bit of turn away. So there's like so many lessons learned that we could like, well, now next time we do this, we're gonna get a sound guy. We're gonna brush up on our dad jokes, and we're gonna make sure that it's just like everyone can attend. Get out there.
Yeah. But overall, really good. I mean, Ben killed it.
Oh,
I got so much feedback about Ben, that like how excellent he was, and I thought he was excellent. He was like one of the highlights for me for sure of the entire night. So.
You know what? And I knew he would be.
Yeah. You were very confident in that, and not that I didn't have confidence in Ben, but I was just like, I haven't seen Ben play in like well over a year. So
yeah, he's been honing his craft. I was super excited. He's the first person I asked. I was like, would you do this for us? Which is all the more comical when we tell the story of me ruining Ben's final song, his finale. So he goes up and he plays this like beautiful, soulful set, and he's very dialed and he's hitting the notes, and like he's made excellent song choices. The thing about Ben, what people don't realize about Ben, if you don't know him well, is that like those are the songs he played, but he practiced probably 35 songs and then determined which ones were sounding best. Like he's systematic, and he puts in a lot of effort. So like he did us not only a huge favor with the setup and playing that show when it was so awesome, but like he did a ton of work whilst he like did his job, saved the town and ran ultra marathons, a very dedicated person. So when he like got to the end of his set, he's playing his final song, and like people are really into it. Like everything, I think lots of people had the same experience that you had. You're like, wow, shit,
Oh yeah,
Ben is good. And it's also like it was kind of that moment of like, this is his final tune, he's gonna go for it. And I was running the sound, and I was just trying to like prepare myself for when he finished to play the like in between act music. And I was using your like Alienware space computer for gaming, only for gaming,
and mostly for porn.
Thank you. The real use. I was using the porn computer, and the screen was blank. And I don't know, like if we talked about this after, but like I just thought I would move the mouse or click the mouse, and it would turn the screen back on so I could see what I was doing. But it was like still active. So when
the screen had just like timed out.
Yeah. So when I clicked the trackpad, it was on the play button of like a Willie Nelson tune. So it was literally like as Ben was drawing his like final breath to do like the like big like and then like explode into amazing acoustic electric guitar awesomeness, I just started playing like blue skies smiling at me, nothing. And then it was like everyone thought I did it on purpose, but I made eyes at Ben, and he was like, you mother.
He handled it really well.
Oh man,
because a lesser man would have been like, you know what? See y'all later.
That if you just started smashing guitars and knocking stuff over.
Honestly, that also could have been a highlight.
Yeah, lots of positive
But no,
things.
he handled it like a professional, and Geese closed out the show like a professional.
Yeah, definitely like a huge thanks to Geese. I also think about this. When we asked Natural Ensemble to come and play, just like you were saying about Ben, you're like, I hadn't realized he was like so good and that good. I think it was lost on me. And maybe this is my public apology to Josh. Josh, if you're listening, I kind of forgot that like he's been a consummate professional artist for like 10 years.
Like
and,
actually tours and like does just doesn't do charity events for his friends.
No, like playing internationally. Like he's down in Philly opening for Brother Ali. He used to play marquee all the time to like huge crowds. Like he's open for some phenomenal artists, and he is a phenomenal artist. And I guess maybe I otherized him a little, or I should have otherized him, because I was like, our bro Josh will just come and do this set, and it's like a charity thing at a bar. But I learned like quickly from the first time I showed him the setup to like when we actually got the show going, like no, like he's an artist, and not like get me my bowl of brown M&Ms and like come and get me when the show is like, not like that, but like in the sense of like, no, there's an expectation. He's got a brand. He likes to sound good. He would expect that there's like the right amount of people there and the right type of crowd for like his performance. And it's just like there's so many boxes left unchecked. And to his credit, he killed it.
Yeah.
He absolutely rose above. And he was saying that. He actually said it to me. He's like, it'll be. Like, I'll do this. Don't worry about it. And I was like, well, is it not good? And he's such a nice guy. He was like, don't worry about it. You know, and like I'm like, is this bad? Is this a bad thing? And then he's like, Drew, like, it'll be what it'll be. But I noticed all this stuff. Like if you noticed, he came out in front and was like walking around doing most of his last songs. And like part of that is the energy of his show. But a big reality of that was he was like, I'm done with these monitors. Like these monitors are not set up correctly. I can't hear myself back here. So he was getting in front of the speakers to like hear himself. And I was like, like, thanks, buddy. Like it wasn't quite as bad, but like he shows up to play, and I've got the Toys R Us like talk back with like the boom box with the red speakers and the little rainbow microphone. I'm like, all right, buddy,
you're up.
You're gonna kill it. Where's your cassette? I just put a couple of batteries in this thing. You got 28 minutes. Yeah. So shout out again. We're doing good cop, bad cop. I'm just like self-deprecating. Like, man, it was a lot, and I learned so much. And when we're ready to do it again, those lessons next weekend. No, we're gonna take some time to cool down. When we're ready to do it again, it's gonna be better. Yeah. You never learn anything from like doing it well the first time.
No, if we had nailed it, that would almost probably be like worse, because then we'd be like, well, we can just like show up and do it perfectly every time.
Yeah, no, failure is the best teacher, and definitely wasn't a failure, but I think we can do.
I would say so far from a failure that like we're nitpicking again. Like I got so much good feedback from other people, and I mean most people are too nice to come up to me and say, well, that sucked.
Nice dad jokes, asshole.
Yeah. But I think also if people genuinely didn't like the event, they probably just wouldn't say anything, whereas I've been getting like nonstop positive feedback from people.
100%. And okay, I'll keep it positive, because I've been the negative Nelly. It looked fantastic. The beer was great. Drank a lot of it. Our gear, our fits, like the Rad Dad Country Club, and this is a plug, but this is also like, I like our stuff. Like they're like the golf line.
Yeah.
Is.
Do you know how many compliments
minty.
I got on my shirt that night?
And I had people being like, "What? Like, where'd you get this?" I was like, "This is Rad Dad gear." They're like, "Yeah, you're the Rad Dads. You guys are idiots. Like, you're wearing clothes. It's your Rad Dad gear." And I'm like, "No. This is from Baja Life.style. Dex made these clothes. Yeah. He went to the sweatshop."
Oh yeah, I went to Vietnam myself, scouted a few locations, found the cheapest place I could. No, it was. I got a compliment when I first walked in. I was like standing near the bar, and there were still some people there that were just patrons of the bar and not there for our show. And this random guy's look. I was wearing the Arnie Palmy tee. If you haven't seen it on www.bajalife.style, it's basically like an all over print T-shirt with lemons and iced tea and vodka bottles. And this guy was like, he's an older guy. He's like, that's a really cool shirt. Like, where did you get that? And I was like, I made it. And he was like in your basement? I was like, no, it's on my website. You can go buy it. And he was like, oh, there's a fucking sales pitch now? Like,
oh yeah. And well, and that's kind of, it's not what this is, but I really like that Magnolia.
You had the Magnolia Fit windbreaker.
The Magnolia with the Masters green.
It was only 35 degrees that day. You looked a little warm, and
I couldn't even do it up because like I ordered the XL and I was like, I'm not ordering a 2XL. And we talked about this, and it's like, you know, I am extra large, but I'm not like Mr. Big and Tall. And no shame if you are, fucking do your thing. But like, I guess what I'm saying is I don't have to like go to specialty clothing stores to buy my shit. Like I would shop at fucking Winners, right? And so when like you order something, I'm like XL. Like it's the extra large version, and like I could get it done up, but it was tight,
bitty tight. Yeah, the sizing was a little funny because so you ordered an XL for the Magnolia Fit windbreaker, and I would say definitely that's something you want to go a size up on, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I ordered the XL T-shirt. That's what I was wearing that night. And it was like actually pretty big. Like I almost felt like any larger and I'm swimming in it.
That's the style with those. You know, they give me the Billionaire Boys Club bathing ape type vibe. Like back in the day.
I looked way younger than 33.
I know you said like this older guy. I'm like, was it us? When are we not young guys? I think, yeah, when our dad jokes don't land with dads, we got to take a look at our lives.
Yeah, reassess.
You know what else was really cool was Casual Media Co. We definitely have to give them a shout out. Because again, that's a company that our friend started who not only performed, but then brought in a videographer to get those like really, really wonderful clips. Like that thing that you posted that he sent you.
Yeah.
That was unreal.
And it blew up. Like so many people were just watching that. And I was just watching. I was like, man, like he obviously the videographer, very talented. Like he made that event look like the must see. Like if you weren't there, you fucking missed out. Absolutely,
he did a fantastic job.
It was a great video. Check out the reel if you haven't already on our Instagram. But.
And definitely like for anyone who's doing that sort of thing, like I've got the fishing business. You know, like there's other people looking to promote themselves. Definitely check out Casual Media Co. Because you would have no idea. Like what we just described and what I was talking about being like Negative Nelly. No way. You look at that reel, you look at that, and you're like, these guys literally put on the best show ever.
Oh yeah, like the event to be at in Okotoks in 2023.
Yeah, fantastic. I also laughed so much. There was a moment where we were like, we got to go talk to the camera guy.
Oh yeah,
and we're gonna go. Where he's like, we're gonna get a couple shots of you guys. We're gonna do like an interview, and that was the word that was used.
Yeah, he just as we set expectations for the dad jokes incorrectly. I think he set the interview. I'm using air quotes. He set the interview expectations incorrectly.
Hey, you guys got to go get interviewed. So we go out. We're like outside the brewery, and he points his camera at us, and he's like doing a walk, and it's got like the little gyro on it, you know, like keeping it level. I don't think it's a gyro. I don't think it's like the thing that makes your handlebars spin, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we just start like giving him our life story, you know, like just like we're like, so we've been friends since like grade 4. And we both have kids. We wanted to start this podcast. And this guy full stop was like,
all right, pause.
Pause. What are you doing?
Too much talking.
Yeah. We're like, oh, what do you want us to do? And he's like, just introduce the show.
And then we had so much trouble doing that.
We couldn't do it.
Like 10 takes.
Oh, or like you would be good and I would be bad, or I would be good and you would be bad. Yeah. And like we did so many takes, and then finally he's like, all right. And we're like, all right.
He's like, I got some stuff I can work with. Like it was not a like resounding like nailed it, boys.
Same thing was like, did we do good? And he's like, there's a take I like. I can probably fix it.
And he did use 2 different takes. He kind of cut it. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's like you introduce, and then like I start to say something, and then it like goes into a shot of the venue, but you can like hear my voice.
Yeah. So
I'm like, I don't know if that's what I was saying in the moment. Probably not. I was probably telling hilarious dad jokes to the patrons outside. Oh man,
30 seconds.
I definitely laughed at a dad joke. It's like the meme. Lady orders a drink and she like takes a sip and was like, oh man, this is clown juice, and then moves the straw up and down and it does like the honk honk. You seen that one?
No.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's giggling. Yeah, Casual Media Co. Fantastic. Thanks for that. And that was all like all donated too. So in a way that generates money for the food bank. That was real cool stuff. On the whole, great success, good event. And what's next for the Rad Dads, man?
I guess we just keep doing the podcast and we'll do a live event again some point. I think we have to. It's only up from here. There's only room for growth and potential.
Yeah. It's cool. Like, we're in August, and I think our first episode is October or November.
Yeah.
So,
October.
October?
I don't know. We'll have to go back and check.
Well, we're coming up. Like, we're getting close.
1 year anniversary.
To our 1 year anniversary.
Maybe we'll do like 1% off on Baja Life.style.
Something huge.
Some big's coming.
We're going to do something for the folks. We'll definitely do a cool episode. So look forward to that. I have some friends who podcast as well, and they put they chop up their like segments into seasons. Are we like a season 2, or are we doing the opposite of that? We're just like going.
We're just, I think just fire hose it into we could do a season 2. I don't know. We'll talk about it behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Or write us. Should we do seasons?
Send us an email. We're dying for an email. It's been a while.
Let's play that mailbag intro again one day.
Yeah. Oh, you got me all excited like I was going to hear it.
No, nobody wrote us.
Yeah. Oh, man. We did do the live mailbag.
We did a live mailbag.
Oh, that was so funny. That was a
good bit.
Well, it was funny, but it was a behind the scenes thing, and we were trying to write the email from the perspective of the ghost of Elizabeth May.
Yeah.
And I went a little too deep on inside jokes. Like, we had
It was very meta.
Yeah.
It was like, if you have not listened to every single episode of the Rad Dad Redemption podcast, you're not gonna. And I was reading it and I was like, this is funny. But in my mind, when you sent me the first draft, I was like, is this a little too like inside joke? And I read it to Alicia, and she was like, oh yeah, it's funny. And she's like, you guys, like, anybody would like that listens to the show. But then I think she also like didn't understand some of the context of like Elizabeth May and that she's not actually dead. Or there's some kind of misunderstanding there. And then I explained it, and she's like, oh, like that's super weird.
There was like, I was talking about how like she wanted to come to the show, but she's too busy freezing Han Solo and Carbonite. And I'd like looked up, I'd like actually gone on like, Star Wars wiki and tried to look up like Hut E's so I could like add in a couple of friggin' Hut like. So, and it's funny because when we did the bit, that was like when we were getting a lot of the feedback. So like imagine like trying to like do my job of the Hut impression like while it's like blowing back in our face.
Just ears bleeding.
Oh my God.
I don't know. We had a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I did some stand up.
Yeah, man. Here we are. Like, just the whole idea actually going into it was to kind of like foster that notion.
Yeah.
And
get a stand up scene going in Okotoks.
Let's dive into that. How did you feel it went? Because obviously I've got my takes on it, and I'm gonna roast you. No, okay. It wasn't a single fucking dad joke in your set.
Zero dad jokes.
I was really unimpressed with that.
Zero dad jokes.
But how'd it go?
I felt like it was good. I had fun. There was some good laughs. There was some slow points, and it was definitely just I wanted to also like just try some bits, and I took a lot of time. Right? Like usually it's like if you go up to do stand up, especially if you're just an amateur, you get 5 minutes. That's how it was for me at the Laugh Factory or the Laugh Shop, wherever I was, whatever. But anyway, they give you 5 minutes, so you got to squeeze whatever you want to say into 5 minutes. But the reality is that the reason they do that is because it's very hard to be funny for like 10 minutes consistently. Yeah. Right? And even harder to be funny for like 15 minutes, which is how long I went for. And so there was some parts that definitely dragged on, but overall I think I was pretty happy with it. I think I'm fucking hilarious. I loved it. You did so well, and the thing that I like really appreciated is like we share a lot of our jokes beforehand, and I also like we know each other's humor intimately. So there was stuff that was like maybe like you didn't get a huge crowd response, but I was fucking dying. Like I was in the back in the sound, and like there was so many just like little things, like the Big Beaver Brewing advertisements that you were gonna like just like subtle like, very
nods.
Subtle, like just see if you can spot them.
Big Beaver Lager. What your liver craves. Ha, ta, 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 ta. There's a bit about just like the time machine when the first guy who wanted to make toast. Yeah. Just like sitting around with like his like powdered face and like white curly wig, and it's just like they're all cutting bread, and you're like, cook it again. Like, and then the
cook it again, and then the other bakers are like, what do you mean? Like you don't like the bread? We should bake a new loaf of bread. And he's like, no, the bread is fine. Take a slice off the existing bread and cook it until it's crunchy. And they're like, you fucking madman. For the people that weren't there, I'm talking about like going back in time to witness the invention of toast and what that conversation would have been like.
Oh, I was trying to tell.
It was
I was trying to tell somebody about like how like you had to go back in time to potentially kill Hitler, but then like had like the moral dilemma, or like the like very real dilemma of like it would be hard to do.
The logistics of doing
logistics. My brother was like, it's also time and place. You're going to warp back to 1940s and you're going to be like in Okotoks.
Yeah.
And like, you're going to have to take like a 6-week transatlantic boat and then like travel across war-torn Europe and like infiltrate like series of soldiers and like safeguards. Like there were people at that time trying to kill him. And like Dex comes back and he's like, I'm the one.
I got this.
Yeah.
I've never killed anyone before.
Yeah, not Steve Rogers. Like Dex is back. So the time and place machine was a funny angle. But then also then being like, well, I can't kill him then. So like, do I kill him as a child? And then it's like, whoa.
There's a pullback in the crowd because I was basically talking about murdering a child, but it was child Hitler.
Yeah, ethical dilemma. But I liked how you tied that into like, well, maybe I just raise him. And I thought you could have gone on that, like just riffed on that, like you and like kid Hitler like playing catch, you know, like going and getting ice cream, like fishing on the river, like you just teaching kid Hitler like a bunch of life lessons, you know, like oh man.
And
you just like you have this crazy relationship with him, and you just like stay with him through the years, and you end up becoming like a high rank SS officer. Like, yeah,
I don't convert him; he converts me.
Yeah, you're the one that has a change of heart, and they're just like you're like super infamous. Yeah. Oh.
Or like, well, yeah, you go back to do that. You take on this project, and you find out that like. Well, in the joke, I said it'd be like such a shitty way to find out in the battle of nature versus nurture, nature won. Like there was no way you were going to change that outcome. And then like you put in all that work and you come back through the time machine and your spouse is just sitting there and they're like, World War II still happened. You're like, shut the fuck up. Like,
they still exist on the same timeline.
They're like, oh, you didn't change anything.
No, like, that's when you come back and like your wife is German and like you live in Germany and you have like this big,
like, what have I done?
This big palace, yeah, with a bunch of like, you know, unsavory memorabilia stored away in your bunker. Lots of paintings that used to belong to other people.
Yeah, living in Argentina.
Yeah. Yeah, I like those jokes. So for me, it was amazing, and I loved it, and it's like very, very like cool. And it's so funny you say, "Oh, it's like an opportunity to work on bits," and that's definitely what it was. Here's a funny story about that, listeners, and some of you guys know this. But like prior to going in to the show, I have a family member who had their in-laws in town, and I had been over for dinner, and they were, you know, they're going to the Stampede. They're like getting the whole Western Canadian experience. And it came up that we were doing this variety night, and they're like, what's that? And I'm like, oh, we got music, we got a silent auction, we're doing it at a brewery. And like my dude Dex, super funny, he's gonna do stand-up comedy. And these people from Tasmania were like, oh my god, we love stand-up comedy. Like, do you think if we came to the show, like your buddy would do a joke about Tasmanians? And I was like, yeah, I don't know, I'll ask him. So I phoned you and had this like contrived conversation. And I was like, you got to write a bit about Tasmania.
Yeah.
Which you did.
I did do a full bit.
Which you did a full bit on Tasmania. And then like 2 days before the show, I get a call and it's like, yeah, they can't make it. They're not coming. And I'm like, well, this will be an interesting set. Like this will be an interesting 5 minutes.
It was like a good chunk.
There's like 50 people like from Canada. And you're just going to be like, all right, anybody here been to Tasmania? It's like, no one. Like, okay, sit tight. I hope you know a lot about...
Grab your phones, pull up the Wikipedia
yeah,
page.
I'll give you guys a minute. This
This
is an interactive portion. Yeah, it was all about like the prisoners being sent to Tasmania.
I mean, if nothing else, I educated myself a little bit on Tasmania because when it was like, write a Tasmania bit, I was like, okay, well, I know the Tasmanian devil from Looney Tunes, which is also a real animal. It looks nothing like the
Tasmanian.
Tasmanian.
Like a rat.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
Anyway, so I was like, I looked it up.
And Bugs Bunny.
What about Bugs Bunny?
It doesn't even look like a bunny.
Bunnies don't stand like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I went into this Googling Tasmania, and I thought it was its own country when I went into this. So I was like, okay, already I'm like an uncultured fucking idiot. It's a province in Australia.
I didn't know they had provinces.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
So, okay, there we go. We're learning even more.
Oh, yeah, I don't know anything about it.
And so then, like, first thing on the Wikipedia page is, like, it was I can't remember if it was the biggest colony, but it was one of the most popular places for the British to drop off prisoners in Australia. Like, Australia was basically a prison colony, right? That's how it got settled. And Tasmania was hugely popular. It was like literally uninhabited other than
for the prisoners? They're like, let's go to that island.
No, it was popular for the British.
Okay.
To send the prisoners to.
Yeah.
And it was inhabited by like estimated 1,000 indigenous people. And the British brought 200,000 prisoners. And I was just like, well, that sucks for those indigenous people. You're just surrounded by criminals. But also, there can't have been that many like serious criminals. I feel like a lot of those charges had to be trumped up. Anyway, so then, I was going into that bit about how it's like not very neighborly. But then the reason why I wanted them there and why I feel like the bit kind of like fell a little bit short is because it would have been interactive. And I wanted to ask them to their face, like, what their ancestors did. Like, what crime did they commit? What did Grandpa do?
Because essentially, when you look at those numbers, 200,000, and I don't even know what the current population of Tasmania is. And I don't know, fact check, beep, boop, boop, beep. It's this number. How many people do you think live in Tasmania?
I don't know. I think it's one of the smaller provinces, so I'm going to say like maybe 1.5 million.
So all those people, every single one of them, except for Aborigines, their ancestors are criminals.
Basically.
Yeah. And we don't know if it's like, that's what you're saying about the era of like, where they're like, they stole a loaf of bread.
Exactly. Like, did you steal, or did you say something bad about the king at the time or whatever?
Or his granddad, like Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, that's what I said. And so I was like, they're not here to defend themselves. So like, you heard it here first. Like, their grandpa was the most prolific hooker murderer in Victorian England. And like, I mean, that was funny, but it would have been so much funnier if like, well, and then we got into a bit about if you go on Ancestry in Tasmania, it's like shows you your family tree and what your ancestors did to get sent to Tasmania. Anyway, it would have been really funny if they were there, because it would be funny if they knew what their great-great-grandpa did to wind up in that position.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I appreciate that you went to those lengths to do that, but then they didn't come, so you had to pivot.
I still did the bit anyway, but yeah.
It was funny. You're like, I might mess it up. I just learned about this place. And then you're like, so anyway, in Tanzania.
I was like, I'm going to call it either Tasmania or Tanzania. Just know if I say Tanzania, I mean Tasmania.
Yeah.
And then I started on the bit and I was like, so anyway, Tanzania. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah. And then you talked about the people from Colorado. You're like, there are some internationals. Yeah.
Yeah.
Colorado's a beautiful place.
Yeah, I think we talked baseball.
Where the beer flows like wine. Yeah. How are they doing? The Rockies? No.
Not good.
Nah, is that them?
Yeah, the Rockies, yeah.
Yeah, great show, great time.
We had fun.
And then we went out. We got I had been shitting all over camping in a previous episode.
Yeah, you didn't sell it.
We didn't sell, but then we all got out. All the families
got
out to Creston, and that was a fun time.
We had a very good time.
That was a good way to unwind.
We went golfing a couple times.
Yeah.
Had some drinky poos. I feel like we need to talk about this now that we're like 2 weeks removed, and like
I'm ready.
We almost started like the Moye River wildfire. So context to this, we all had set up, well, I should say our wives were like trying to coordinate logistics while we were like, how many beers are we going to drink? The wives all set up days for each family to make dinner for everyone else. So we weren't all just like fucking sitting there with our dicks in our hand like, what are we going to eat? Somebody was in charge of it.
Yeah.
So my day was, you told me there's a smoker out there. I was like, I'm going to make pulled pork. I love smokers. We get out there and it's like definitely an older style smoker. Like it's not your Wi-Fi connected Traeger sitting on the deck.
No, it's an oval. It's a metallic oval.
Yeah, and you literally hand bomb in the charcoal and the wood chips. But we're like, we'll figure this out. And like context to this, you were like,
you're being really nice. You woke me up from like a stupor because I had like St. Eugened so hard, and then actually like had to take like a self-imposed break in the afternoon because I was almost like falling and squishing my children, which was not a good look. And so after my like self-imposed exile, I returned and rose like a phoenix and continued to party. Yeah. Which also like I'm proud of myself for like bringing the night back and like making it through. You know, it doesn't always go that way. But then like what that did to my body to do like a back-to-back marathon in a single day, like the situation there for like my internal organs is like, no, this like usually you do this once, you're like wrecked for 2 days, and then you like slowly get back into it. You're human again. I gave my body like 30 minutes and I was like, all right, round 2, let's go. You know, just like found the bottle of Sambuca in the freezer. I'm like, I gotta catch up to these guys. I'm like, no, you don't. Yeah. So like, I just like was polluted. And in the morning, it was a disaster. Like I didn't even know which way is up. And you were like ready, you know, keen on your smoked meat product as you are. You're like, let's get the smoker going. Come help me. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Let's do this. Never once used this thing. Never in 100. I never even looked at it. I know my father-in-law used it a bunch. And so that was my user's manual. Was not the actual user's manual, which was available to us. It was like, I watched a guy one time use this and I was near him.
I absorbed all the knowledge I'll ever need.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's my X-Men mutant ability, is I just like drink 3 beers while someone does something in the same backyard as me. I was like, I can now do this. And so like, it says right on the smoker, it's like very clear. It's like, do not ever get this thing above like 300 degrees, you know, like start slow, clean it out, make sure it's on like a safe surface, all this stuff. And I was like, no, none of that. Load this thing full of Kingsfords, like just like dump it.
Like probably 4x as much charcoal as we actually needed.
Yeah. And then I took like a little Coleman propane, like 1 pound with a torch top, and like lit it and then just set it in the coals with the torch against it. And I was like, yeah, give it a minute. And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, kid, give it a minute. And then here comes the forest fire part. This thing is not like,
it's precariously sitting on top of like just dead underbrush and leaves and like
the little red pine needles that are like super flammable.
Yeah. And so I forget what happened. Is like, I think we were, you were stirring it. That's what it was. So we got these charcoals lit. We threw some wood on there, and then you were stirring it. And the flames, this is a smoker. The flames are coming out the top of the smoker.
It's a barbecue now.
It is a fire pit. And you start stirring it, and some of the pieces of wood and stuff fall onto the ground, where it is surrounded by highly flammable material in the middle of one of the worst wildfire seasons BC has ever seen.
Yeah, it's a full fire ban.
And it as expected, it ignited pretty fast. And you're so hungover and just like not even really aware of the world that I was like, oh fuck, like fire. And
fire bad.
And you were like, it's all right. And I had been cleaning it before you got up, and so I had the hose there turned on. And you started spraying it, and you're spraying one side, and so you got like half the fire put out, but I'm on the other side watching it like slowly expand like the other direction. I was like, get this side. And we put it out, and then you were like, yeah, it was pretty wild. Anyway, I'm going to go for a swim, and you hopped in the pool, and I'm watching this thing like so deathly afraid that like I'm about to destroy like people's lives and like get the railway shut down.
Oh man, you know what? Like I don't
all day. I like did not walk away from that thing.
Well, that was good. You needed to, because there was some telltale signs after the fact. Like it was black, like it was like coated.
Yeah, it was painted.
It was painted, and then like by the end of it, it started to like, it looked like the T2 Terminator, like when he got shot. Like it was just like starting to like melt and like discolor. It looked like Raku, man. And then like the other thing that was funny is they had like a little temperature gauge, and it went all the way up to 350,
which was about 3/4 of the way through the temperature gauge,
and then went back around the zero and like just started spinning.
It lapped like back around zero. So if you looked at it, you'd be like, oh, like
it's cold. It's freezing
we're only
cold.
At 40 degrees. This thing's practically frozen. But then you saw the flames pouring out the side and the paint peeling off. You're like, this thing's running at like fucking 600. Yeah.
So I left, and I took the girls on a wine tour, mostly to be like good dad, good husband, but also to atone. I was like, I'll do it. Like I will drive you guys around. And it was pretty miserable, because I would like drop them off at the winery and then like just go like try and put my seat back in the car and like just like exist. And then my kids, both of which are in the vehicle, are just like so unhappy, and like, oh man, that was a rip. And when I got back, you had produced a fantastic no forest fire necessary pulled pork, and I was really impressed that you did that outside. It's one thing to like, I went to Costco and I bought like $1,000 smoker, and then I bought like a $200 piece of meat, and like everyone liked it. But like in the woods,
I felt very caveman-y.
Yeah,
I was like, fire meat me make, you eat.
And we ate so much of that.
Oh yeah, I was eating it well into the next day. Alicia's like, And there's limited fridge space, so I had it sitting like in a cooler with like ice packs. And Alicia was like, that's not very food safe, and I just kept eating it. I was like, I'm gonna make another sandwich,
wrapping it in tinfoil, throwing it in the propane fire. Yeah. Well, anyway. I loved about that day, and I don't think you partook in it, but what I appreciated is like I had like a big day Saturday, and then like Sunday, it was really nice of our other buddy who I'll give him like anonymity. You know, I know he listens to the show, but like this other person who was with us. So I went out, did the wine tour. You like manned the barbecue, and you had some cans, but our dude just like sat in his like lounger and drank like consistently throughout the day.
Him and I we were watching our kids, and we were going beer for beer, but I was drinking
like Bud Light. Yeah.
And he was drinking like 8.5% crafties.
Oh yeah, he's always never the guy like he never drinks the same beer. Oh, like that's a thing. He like has like a unique can, right? So yes, he's drinking these like huge big beers. And when we get back from the wine tour, it's like what, like 4?
Yeah, it was. I'd say it's about 4 o'clock, 4:30 maybe. Yeah.
And like I kind of like I had my suspicions because I was like, yo, what's up, my dude? And he's got his shades on. He's sitting in his chair and he's like silent and just blasting Alanis Morissette. I was like, we're like, hey, like, yeah, queen of 90s alt. Like, yeah, she is great. Like, what's going on? And then there was just like no conversation and a couple more classic tunes. And then he just like stands up and leaves and is gone, napping. And so he got a little talking to for sure, and I was really appreciative of that. I was like, thanks, man. Like, if it had just been me on Saturday, like drawing the ire of my significant other, like I might not I might have had to have another conversation, but it felt like we all traded places a bit. It's like, now it's your turn.
Yeah, like I still think about that because I'm like, I had a good buzz going. I was drinking those light beers, and I was drinking a few of them throughout the day. I had a good buzz, but I had a handle. Yeah. Right? And then I just thought about, like, he drank as many cans as I did, but they were tall boys and, like, twice as alcoholic. Yeah. And I was like, so if I'm feeling this way, he's got to be feeling quite literally double.
He's got to feel double as nice, twice as good.
Yeah. It was such a fun trip, though, and I thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, and thank you for preventing that forest fire. Only you can prevent the fires that I facilitate.
And then prevent forest fires.
We're just spraying it with water. We were on top of it. Yeah, very incriminating podcast.
Well, nothing happened.
No.
Other than, well, we didn't even...
Delicious meat was consumed.
We didn't even violate the fire ban intentionally.
Yeah. What else from that weekend? No, you know what? Great times, and really cool to come off the heels of our event, spend some time together. You alluded to it at the very start of the episode, that this is the first time we're back and we're recording. But we have been spending a lot of time together this summer, and it's been really fun.
We're having a good time. Still lots of summer left.
Yeah, lots of golf left.
And if you listen to this episode and you weren't at the Rad Dad event, you probably felt like you're very much missing out, and you did. Yeah,
watch the reel. I hope we do. I wonder if there is some more footage of like your actual stand-up that we can get out. And
I don't know.
I was too busy ruining people's sets with intermittent
Willie Nelson
explosions. Yeah. But yeah.
Maybe it can be just one of those things that, like, you know, if you weren't there, you weren't there.
Yeah. We'll probably hit up a couple more open mics and start planning. We talk about it all the time. We'll probably stop talking about it until it just happens. But we're on the brink of doing our first couple guests on the show and getting that organized. So that'll be a nice spicy way to enter season 2. I don't think we should do a season 2. I think we just go in perpetuity.
Okay, don't email us as requested.
About that
topic.
Oh yeah. About that topic. No, do email us. Screw that. I forgot we said that. What do you think? How should we carry forward with our branding? Does Dex spend time making an entire new set of jingles and intro song? Do we rebrand? Yeah, let us know.
When I was thinking season 2, I literally thought I'd just click a button that, like, on Podbean that denotes this is now season 2, but I would change absolutely nothing else.
I think season 2 we should recast one of us. But just not say who. Just let the listeners find out.
Both of us. Yeah. It'd just be a totally different podcast.
Do you think our wives would do an episode
I've always thought they would be funny guests to have on.
Yeah.
And even just like we do a podcast, but they get to interject whenever they feel like we're telling a story incorrectly.
Oh, man.
Like, that's not how I remember it. We've got to pass the mic over to our wives. Yeah, I've always thought that'd be a hilarious episode. So definitely down the line, I think that should be on the table.
Yeah, if they're in and like we're moderating, but I also think it'd be funny to just like get them down here and be like hit record.
And just tell the truth about us.
Yeah. It's like an expose. It's like, it's not quite an episode. It's like one of the bonus episodes, you know, like the Rad Moms, like Insider a Dish.
I think we're onto something.
Yeah, look forward to it.
I remember when we first started our podcast, when we were doing the name thing.
Yeah.
We came up with so many better names for like a parents podcast if we were women.
Yes.
I can't even remember some of them now, but I was like,
we talked about them, I think, in episode
maybe,
1.
yeah. Episode 1, go back. But I was like, you need to start a podcast just because we came up with a good name for it. Like, no other details. Like, no concept or anything. Just like, it's got a good name. You can't miss.
Oh, dude, that's a whole like child Hitler scenario where their podcast becomes like much more successful and popular, and like our small group of listeners stop listening to us, and we have like a warring podcast. Yeah. We get divorced, right? And we move into each other. We got like an apartment. We're Millhouse's dad with like race car beds and shit.
the Divorced Dads podcast.
Yeah, look forward to that.
Stay tuned for season 4.
Oh my god. Okay, well, I think that's good, man. I think we have a ton of stuff to chat about. We got a lot of topics, but we want to get back regular. We want to be like a nice morning poop and come at you with some normalcy here. So, sound a word? Yeah, I think
Let's
so.
call it. Have a great morning, evening, night, whenever you're listening to this. That's the beauty of podcasts.
Yeah, you can just you can press play. You can listen to a bit of it now. You can finish them later, and if you don't want to listen, you can just turn it off. So
we're just explaining podcasts and how they work to people listening.
I'll have to send this to the cameraman. Thanks,
right.
everybody.
See you, buddy.
Listen to the next episode when the guys take action against the big bad wolf for continued damage to straw homes. Their hunger for revenge can only be satisfied with wolf meat.